morning, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. Well, let's quickly put the focus on what took place in the national capital today. The election committee of the Congress met. However, the list for Rajasthan is not announced yet. But also what happened was that the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Ashok Gehlot, left Rajasthan yesterday for Delhi, but not before taking a veiled jibe at Sachin Pilot. Listen in to what he said.
10 करोड़ रुपए इनको ऑफर हो रही थी पहले जब गवर्नर साहब ने रेट दे दी ऐसे ने बुलाने की रेट बढ़ गई इनकी 10 20 30 40 बोलो क्या करना आपको वो 3-4 लोगों की जरूरत थी 3-4 लोगों की जरूरत थी उनको टच एंड गो मामला था पर आप देखिए कितनी बड़ी गुडविल थी सरकार की और किस प्रकार पब्लिक का सपोर्ट मिल रहा था एमएलए को दिल्ली में आ रहे थे अगर आपको 6 महीने रुकना पड़े होटल के अंदर आप रुकिएगा सरकार किसी कीमत पे नहीं गिरनी चाहिए टेंशन को का मतलब समझ गए आप मामूली सा अंतर था उस वक्त में सरकार ने बचाई है
I want to quickly connect to my colleague Dev Ankur, who's joining us live with the latest that's coming in. Dev, interesting in terms of the language chosen by Ashok Gehlot on the eve of election. He comes to Delhi, but makes it very clear when he rakes up the rebellion of 2020 by Sachin Pilot, where he goes on to say in direct terms that it was he and his loyalists that saved the government, where 10 crores were taken by many, where the rate had gone to 30 to 40 crores as well, and it was just touch and go.
Well, Preeti, very interesting turn of events. You remember when back in 2022, which is last year, September 25, that date will be etched in the history of Rajasthan politics for how the events panned out. That was when Ashok Gehlot raked up those old issues, brought out those old skeletons out of the cupboard. Why? Because in the air, the possibility, and the possibility is the operative word out here, Preeti, the possibility of something significant happening in Rajasthan politics. What was that significant thing which could have happened? That the person on the throne of the CM's chair could have been dethroned and he could have been replaced by someone much younger than him. That possibility was palpable in the air. Ashok Gehlot probably averted that possibility, Preeti, back then. And at that time, around that time, he raked this same issue time and again, 10 crores.
But Dev Ankur, to rake up that same issue on a rebellion which happened in 2020 after, clearly, where optics was concerned, there was a truce which was called for, no matter how uneasy it might have been, to rake up that rebellion, to talk about rebels when you're 37 days away from elections.
So, Preeti, now another significant thing which could possibly happen very soon, probably tonight, probably tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, is the first list of the Congress. That thing is very significant because Pilot, Ashok Gehlot, both know whosoever get the majority of tickets, probably their people, the majority number will get to the assembly. And if the majority people get to the assembly from, let's say, the Pilot camp, he can have the say if in case, hypothetically speaking, Congress forms the next government in Rajasthan. So both Pilot and Gehlot are indulging in this internal tussle because they know and they want their men or their people to come in larger numbers in the state assembly. So that kind of internal politics is going on today. Sachin Pilot was missing from the Congress election committee meeting. He was present on the earlier occasion, but today, despite being a CWC member, he was not invited. We are given to understand, and these are unconfirmed reports, Preeti, that there was a verbal a tussle that happened at the meeting between Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot. Sachin Pilot apparently, reportedly made it very clear, why are you raking up old issues? Now, this kind of a tussle, Ashok Gehlot time and again talking about what happened in Manesar, what happened back in 2020, raking up old issues, trying to rub it in as far as the old wounds are concerned.
But also, are these all pressure tactics on the eve of ticket distribution, because today at least out of the 100 names were penciled in, yet not announced. A keen eye on the first list in Rajasthan where Congress comes into question. But for now, Dev, appreciate you joining us. Let's quickly cut across to our other panelists this evening. Avinash Kala, senior journalist; Amitabh Tiwari, political analyst; Rakhi Rathore, BJP spokesperson; the BJP in itself dealing with factionalism in terms of rebels; and Swarnim Chaturvedi, spokesperson of the Congress. Amitabh Tiwari, what do you make of what we are witnessing right now in the state of Rajasthan? Factionalism in both sides, but more to worry for the Congress, especially where Mr. Gehlot versus Mr. Pilot is concerned.
Yeah, so essentially what Gehlot is trying to do is that remind Congress that these 20 MLAs had rebelled and he wants to deny tickets to Sachin Pilot's camp so that his camp gets a lesser number of tickets because the CM position is still open in Rajasthan. The Congress has not announced Ashok Gehlot as its chief ministerial candidate. Now we have to understand that the Congress situation here is similar to the Karnataka situation of BJP. The Congress has never won in the last 3 elections 54 seats, despite forming government twice, which means that the Congress needs to win 100 out of 150 seats. And that is why we see that in both 2008 and 18, it was not able to get simple majority on its own. That is the most tricky part for Congress in Rajasthan elections. In terms of stronghold seats also, the Congress has won 3 out of 3 times only 5 seats, whereas BJP has 28 seats. So this factionalism is not only going to impact the ability of the Congress party to make a comeback or win the elections, but the distribution of the Congress camp into 2 factions largely also means that both the factions will be up against each other and try to undo both the parties, and that is likely to have an impact on the electoral results. And that is why also probably the BJP has not announced any CM candidate, because there is a strong trend of change of government and it wants to exploit, or it wishes to exploit, the anti-incumbency against the government and the factionalism within the Congress unit.
You know, the Congress would turn around and say we wanted to exploit the factionalism within the BJP. But right now, Avinash Kala, the way things are poised, you know, what was the need of Mr. Gehlot to rake up something which happened in 2020, especially at a time where optics was concerned, a truce was called for? Pressure tactics before ticket distribution, one can understand. But the messaging which goes out then will ruffle a lot of feathers.
Well, it would be naive of anybody to think that Mr. Gehlot would not rake this issue up. Optics is something that has been forced and the Congress party hasn't been able to get it right. My friend Swarnim is also on the panel. He would refute me, but look at it. When ERCP, the protest started, and it started in the eastern Rajasthan in Bara area where Gujars have a vote, say Mr. Pilot was missing. He was there in the thing came out that he was there in for an exam or a promotional thing in the army. But he was missing in action. The Congress party's biggest challenge is to just bring these 2 leaders on the same page. And as rightly Amitabh pointed out, those 53 seats. And again on that, the chief minister has said that there is an anti-incumbency against the sitting MLAs. But he's also saying my 120 people who got my government in should be safeguarded. So the rift between the Congress is way too bigger than what we see in the BJP. And it's a worrying sign, because all was good. You know, I spoke to sources inside the party. They were saying, wait for a couple of hours and the list is out. But they don't want to spoil another optics, because day after, Priyanka Vadra is coming in for a rally. And if the list comes out and there is a rebellion, they don't want anything prior to that. So Congress is taking one step at a time and very, very cautiously.
Well, you're right there, bang on, because Mr. Kala, you know, we have been waiting for that list. We've got the second list of Chhattisgarh. They said that the Rajasthan list would be announced, the Congress, that later this evening. Doesn't seem it's going to be announced today at all. Will it be announced tomorrow? We don't quite know. But having said that, let's cut across to Swarnim Chaturvedi of the Congress. Swarnim Chaturvedi, what you were expecting to cash on, which was factionalism, where the BJP was concerned, at the back of what's gone down with Vasundhara Raje Scindia and the rebels in the BJP, right now, it seems you've got a lot going on in your own divided house.
No, there is no divided house in Congress. Right now, we are focusing to win the elections on the basis of the welfare schemes that we have floated. Our government has done so much. We have floated so much welfare schemes that even the other state governments are studying the schemes that we have made. So right now, there is only one thing, that is one. There is one government that fulfills the promises. There is one government, like we can say the central government, that doesn't fulfill the promises. They made the promises
Okay.
of curbing
So, Mr.
price
Swarnim
rise,
Chaturvedi,
curbing
in the middle of it, how did
unemployment.
Mr. Gehlot find the time to talk about what went down all the way back in 2020, where he spoke of rebels, who'd taken 10 crores of rupees, and the ones who stuck by him were even offered 30 crores, and it was only touch and go because only 3 or 4 were needed, but they didn't go to the rebel camp.
CM Ms. Gehlot Saab was saying that the BJP is leveling the charges of corruption on the MLAs. On what he said is that our MLAs are not corrupt. They refuse the money offered by the BJP. That was what Mr. Gehlot was saying. So if somebody has to answer about the corruption, that is the BJP has to answer, because the BJP senior leaders of the BJP has leveled corruption charges on the central minister in Rajasthan. BJP leaders are leveling corruption charges even in the ticket distribution. So BJP has to answer where, how can they curb the corruption that is within their party, the charges against their leaders. So Mr. Gehlot has just explained that our
Okay. But
leaders,
he
our
also
MLAs,
explained,
they are not
okay, I'm going to
corrupt.
cut across to
As
the
far as
BJP.
the BJP.
Right. But Mr. Chaturvedi, I'll cut across to Ms. Rathore, but the fact is he also in detail went on to explain on how it was only touch and go and only 2-3 were needed because the rest had already crossed over with that 10 crore. And those 2-3 were being, trying to be lured with over 20 to 30 crores per MLA. But we'll come down to that. I know it's a bit of an uncomfortable question right now, but Ms. Rathore, the fact is all not well with the BJP camp as well. You have enough sitting MLAs who were turned down for a ticket now who are promising to go independent and pledging allegiance to Vasundhara Raje.
Preeti, what the reactions which is observed from these kind of sitting MLAs who were not able to get ticket this time, it's a very natural kind of reaction from these candidates. But for the balance sake, you are comparing the status of BJP and Congress here in Rajasthan, because look at the level of words which has been which have been shared between the two leaders of Congress party, like Nakara, Nikamma, Karuna. The kind of rift, the kind of conflict between the two leaders of Congress party has crossed the roads now. So it is not good that we are comparing the two parties here in Rajasthan. The second point is that Swarnim was pointing about fulfilling the promises. I just want to quote the first promise they made in their manifesto, that they will waive off the loan of farmers in Rajasthan within 1, 2, 3, 10 days. And I still remember those 1 to 10 count of Rahul Gandhi in Rajasthan, but they failed to do that miserably here in Rajasthan as well. So don't do that, because from last 4.5 years, we have seen there's a there's a rift between the party. The half of the party was busy in Kursi Bachao program and the half party was Kursi Khicho program. So they have nothing to do with the welfare of the people of Rajasthan. And that is the reason from last 4.5 years, they did nothing. And last 6 months, they announced many schemes, but on ground level, the schemes were not implemented properly. And that is, I want to challenge also, Swarnim ji, you just quote one scheme which you were able to implement corruption free. There are charges of corruption in Jal Jeevan Mission, in DOIT department, which is headed by the Chief Minister himself.
Mr. Rathore, we're going to ask that question to Ms. Chaturvedi, but I want to cut across back, permission with the both of you, to Mr. Kala and Mr. Tiwari. Mr. Amitabh Tiwari, I'll come back to you. If at all it's going to be a tight contest, do you see that this is going to be an election of independence?
See, the smaller parties and independents have had a good role in Rajasthan elections, winning anywhere between 15 to 20% vote share. And both in 2008 and 18, the smaller parties like BSP and independents had bailed out the Congress. That is how the Congress was able to form the government. Now, this time, because of intense factionalism, not only in the Congress party, but also within the BJP as well, mentioning if there is a tight contest, the role of the smaller parties, RLP, independents, BSP, Aam Aadmi Party, etc., becomes fairly important, because the MLAs who win from these parties are likely to decide which party will form the government if there is a hung assembly situation. And some surveys are indicating that there could be a very,
Right.
very contest in Rajasthan. So they could emerge as the kingmakers, as we say, and both parties, independents, backed by some of the leaders. Because in 2018 also, Avinash ji will confirm, many of the independents who won were
True.
actually loyalists of Ashok Gehlot. And that was a trick which was employed by Ashok Gehlot allegedly, so that he gains an upper hand
True.
in the formation or of the cabinet and in the naming of the chief minister, that these guys will support Congress party only when I am named as the chief minister. So these sort of games are also likely to play from the BJP side as well, especially Vasundhara Raje.
Exactly, and that's where I bring you in, Mr. Kala, because, you know, if at all it comes to a close contest, then do we see what went down in 2018 played not just by Vasundhara Raje and Mr. Gehlot, possibly Mr. Pilot as well, depending on who's denied a ticket, which camp has the upper hand?
Well, it all depends. Like in the Congress, it's very clear Mr. Pilot would want to get his people into contest. And like last time also, the Gehlot camp would want those seats to be minimized. Interestingly, in last election, had the Congress not fumbled in, their majority would be above 130. But coming back to BJP, I don't think that Ms. Vasundhara Raje would go that level, that she would feel independence or anything. I believe that she would be within the party's fold and they would find an amicable solution. Because, see, BJP is a practical political party where the high command holds some power. And in the Congress party, the high command doesn't hold that power. That is the biggest thing. So far, yes, Vasundhara ji has been cornered, but you see her everywhere. BJP's optics has only gone wrong in the last 7 days, when few independents out of 41 have gone on a rebellion. Otherwise, you constantly see them posing together. They are all smiles. They don't talk bad about each other in public, no words exchange. So BJP is keeping its optics right. And their deputy leader, Mr. Rathod, said that in the next list onwards, you will not see any of these things happening. So they have got their act together. I don't think that independent ploy would work. Anybody would have that power or guts, because, you know, at the center, it's the BJP's thing. All the independents would be risking their stakes way too high if they go against the BJP.
Mr. Chaturvedi, just 2 days ago, you had Rahul Gandhi who said that now Congress has closed the gap which they had with the BJP, and you're possibly at the cusp of winning Rajasthan, which is changing and turning history around. You still haven't announced or been able to announce your tickets, at least the first round of that. We were hoping that we'd hear about them by the end of the day. That's not happening.
The one thing I should say that we have already completed the exercise. So the list will come out either today or tomorrow, but we have completed the exercise. Or what we have seen in the BJP is it's not going to be seen in the Congress. It's not because BJP, that was they were claiming all the way around that they are ekmukhi, they are sitting on a one table. But we can see whatever the definition of rebellion or infighting which could be described, they have shown all. So BJP infighting,
Just
we have
quote
seen,
one.
because BJP,
I just want to ask,
there is
quote one example of BJP as
there
a
are two
rebellion.
factions in the BJP, right from the center to the bottom, and we are seeing that our list is complete, our exercise is complete, will come out.
Okay, your exercise is complete, your list is not out, but it'll be interesting to know what happens after the first list is out, because I believe 100 names have been penciled in. Mr. Kala, 10 seconds, sir, you wanted to make a point, go ahead.
Just one simple thing. The BJP's rebellion was evident once the list came out. In the Congress, even before the list could come out, we have seen rebellions. AICC has become a WWE ring for the Congress people. And all the loyalists are helter-skelter.
Yesterday, you had Mr. Dotasra, who actually said that the chief minister's position, if at all the Congress comes into power, could go either way. And that's why, Mr. Tiwari, I want to bring you in for quick 10 seconds, because Mr. Dotasra, who himself is a Jat, who's got the highest in terms of numbers where demography is concerned in Rajasthan, many would suggest fancies his own hat in the ring.
Yeah, in fact, there is a thinking amongst the Congress High Command that to get rid of their dependence on Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot, they could look for a loyalist from their side. Dotasra is number one. Harish Chaudhary is number 2, Raghu
True.
Sharma. These 2-3 people are there who could actually become the face of the
Okay.
Congress, because in the C voter survey, 25% of Congress supporters that they want a fresh face except Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot.
You know, but many would say Mr. Sachin Pilot's still quite popular right now, at least where the rallies are, optics are concerned. Many would say that they'll give it to Delhi journalists who seem to think he's popular, but we'll only find out when that last vote is counted. I appreciate all three of you for joining us, and thank you, Ms. Rathore, for giving us your point of view where the BJP is concerned. We're going to keep a keen eye on developments in Rajasthan, waiting for the first list of ticket distribution by the Congress, but we do want to leave you with this particular news. It's important to us where the family of India Today is concerned. All 5 accused in the 2008 murder of Delhi journalist Soumya Vishwanath have been convicted by a Delhi court almost 15 years after the crime that took place in the national capital. Soumya, who was a journalist with Headlines Today news channel, now India Today, was shot and killed in her car while driving home from office on September 28. Here's a report, and here is our heart going out to her parents who fought this fight for 15 years. My colleague and friends to many of us, where India Today is concerned, a part of our family.
"15 years later, justice for Soumya Vishwanathan. A Delhi court on Wednesday convicted all the accused of the murder of the India Today journalist who was shot dead in 2008. Soumya's family welcomed the verdict.
It's a relief. At least one gang has been caught. At least that much safety for the others. We have lost our daughters. So at least for others, it will be that much. I'm not saying it's going to be safe for everyone, but at least one gang shot, that's all.
4 accused, Ravi Kapoor, Amit Shukla, Baljit Malik and Akshay Kumar, were found guilty of murder, while the 5th one, Ajay Sethi, was convicted of helping them. The convicts plan to challenge the verdict in higher courts.
बिल्कुल इस जजमेंट को चैलेंज करेंगे। ये बेसिकली प्राइमा फेसी पब्लिक ओपिनियन पे पास किया हुआ जजमेंट है, बिकॉज इट्स ए जीरो एविडेंस केस।
India Today's news director Rahul Kanwal was present with Soumya's family at the Saket court when the verdict was pronounced. The 25-year-old journalist was shot dead on Nelson Mandela Marg in South Delhi while returning home after work at night. The police says the motive for murder was robbery. The first breakthrough in the case came when police arrested the suspects for the murder of an IT sector employee, Jigisha Ghosh, who was killed a few months after Soumya.
There are a lot of challenges, a lot of prosecutors changed, even courts changed, but our guys were really relentless in pursuing this one. Nothing really missed on at a police end. I can't say about any other agency, but police was very diligent and it's working.
While justice has finally been served, the slow pace of trial exposes the weaknesses in the justice system.
Sentencing in the matter will take place on the 26th of October. But for Soumya Vishwanathan's parents, this is but a small sigh of relief as justice has been served. They have said that this is not about justice because they have already lost a child who they will never get back. But they hope that these men will spend the rest of their life in jail behind bars so that they will also understand the kind of pain that Soumya's parents have gone through. In New Delhi, with cameraman Ashwini Helen, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
The These Israeli children are still in Hamas captivity in Gaza. More than 10 days later, fate of these kids remains unknown. Shiri, a kindergarten teacher, was seen crying, holding her two kids close, 3-year-old Ariel and 9-month-old Kafir, when Hamas extremists surrounded and kidnapped the family. Five-year-old Raz and 3-year-old Aviva Sher were playing in the house when Hamas terrorists took them captive with their mother Doron. A video later emerged of them being loaded onto the truck with other hostages. The husband Yoni Asher traced the wife's mobile phone to Gaza's Khan Yunis neighborhood. A viral video showed 12-year-old boy Erez being pulled away by Hamas from his residence in Kibbutz Niroz. The family is unaware of his whereabouts. Among 100 civilians held hostage, more than 15 are children, including infants. Many more are missing. From an Israeli house attack, Hamas terrorists released this video sitting in the backyard of a civilian house. One extremist holding an assault rifle in one hand and an injured toddler in another. A crying infant is seen in the stroller surrounded by the Hamas gunmen. Identities of these children are unknown and continue to be in captivity. A group of Israelis projected images of children hostages at the side of the United Nations headquarters in New York, demanding the release of their loved ones with messages of "Bring them home now." Abducting civilians is a crime against humanity, and Hamas is ISIS. Israeli actress Gal Gadot, known for her role in Wonder Woman, is using her social media platform to share images of abducted children and asking the world to raise awareness to bring the hostages back.
As we are getting out of the emergency and admission department of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, and based on what we have heard from the doctors here at the department, maybe in the upcoming hours as we are getting out of the hospital, this hospital itself will possibly break down, with the situation getting dire in terms of the needs and essential supplies needed by the hospital. This is an integral part of how is the image in Gaza for the time being, especially for Gaza's hospitals. As you know, Gaza, the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital, is one of the largest and major hospitals, key hospitals in the Gaza Strip, run by the Gaza government. For NGA Today, Rami Al-Mighari, Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Middle Gaza Strip.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Carrying their personal belongings in hand, hundreds of thousands of Gazans are walking for hours with their children. Lakhs of civilians living in North Gaza have fled their homes as Israel prepares for a ground invasion following punishing air raids against Hamas. Israel has placed the Hamas-ruled Gaza Strip under complete siege, cutting off basic utilities. Over 2 million people are struggling for clean water, food, fuel and medical supplies. There has been no electricity in Gaza for days.
I went to fill up my car with fuel, but the station had run out. Only 2 trucks can work, and the diesel in them will run out soon as well. To whom can we complain? To God? There is no water at all, and no gas or electricity to make the water work. No one wants to give us water. All this is because of the war. It destroyed us. They bombed the whole square and destroyed everything here.
The Israeli airstrikes have killed thousands of civilians. Hospitals are overwhelmed with the sheer...
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies. Co-presented by Century Laminates by Manish Malhotra, Fashion for your furniture. Co-presented by Macho Hind, Bade Aaram Se. Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com, Har family hogi insured. Co-powered by The Bold Look of Kohler. Kirloskar.
Hello and welcome. As the world reels in horror after the death of at least 500 Palestinians in a Gaza hospital, what do Indian voters think of the Hamas-Israel war? Whose side are Indian voters on? Results of the India Today political stock exchange tracking data done by C-Voter coming up on the news track. The first time we will tell you how Indian citizens are decoding the Israel-Hamas conflict.
Israel-Hamas war escalates. India backs Israel, slams terror. What do voters think of Prime Minister's stand? Who do Indians support? The Indian sentiment on global crisis. Political stock exchange. Big focus on news track.
The attack on a Gaza city hospital has become a major flashpoint in the raging war. The Hamas claims the hospital was deliberately hit by an Israeli missile. Israel, on the other hand, says it was an Islamic Jihad rocket that misfired. The biggest question at the moment, who killed hundreds of innocents who were in that Gaza hospital?
Flames rage. Haunting echoes of sirens fill the air. Patients and bodies rushed from a hospital in Gaza.